Look what you've done. How can you expect me to hold my head up around town when you're acting this way? You've made me feel so ashamed, and I just don't know what you're trying to do to me. You're such a disappointment. This may have been the tirade you've heard in your home, or perhaps the attack was more subtle, and nothing was said, but everything could be felt. And you just knew that you were the cause of their pain and unhappiness. You just knew you'd be spending the rest of your days making it up to them. After all, you were the reason they were so very disappointed. Welcome, everyone. It's Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer, here with you on Angel Heart Radio. And if you'd like to crawl out from under the burdens of shame and disappointment that you may have felt all your life, then stay with me. When we come back, we're going to learn the truth about empathy and disappointing others.
Angel Heart Radio programs should not be used to replace your legal or medical advice, nor your own sound judgment. In truth, nothing can dim your magnificence. You are a divine spark, a universal light. You are here on purpose. You are part of a divine plan, and it's our joy to support you. We're here to celebrate you. Welcome to Angel Heart Radio. Powered by love, Angel Heart Radio is brought to you by AngelLight777.com. Put the power of the spiritual realm to work in your life with Marcia Martin on Angel Heart Radio starts now.
Today, I want to talk to all of you who are empathic beings. This does not mean that you are empathetic in a situation sometimes, or that you're good about being kind. An empath is a sensitive being who can feel the energy in the room. So let's look at what that actually means. You need to understand, because if you are an untrained empath, life can feel really, really overwhelming. You can feel just so lost and confused. And you may be feeling, as I said in the introduction a few seconds ago, you may be feeling as though there is something terribly wrong with you, because every time you walk into the room, you feel anger or sadness or disappointment. And in your mind, you may be saying to yourself, well, the only thing that changed was me. I walked into the room, and wasn't everybody fine before I walked into the room? It can leave you carrying a tremendous burden. It can feel like an incredible amount of weight to carry around on your shoulders if you do not understand what it means to be an empath. As I said, this is different from sharing empathy with somebody who may be going through a tough situation. Yes, you absolutely should share empathy with people who are hurting in any way, but the empath can actually feel the vibration of sadness and needs to learn how not to say yes to all of this lower vibrational energy that is floating around their space. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The empath absolutely lives in fear of disappointing someone else. Their own person is not considered as valuable as those other people. They live in fear of disappointing someone else because they can feel the person's reaction, and it makes it doubly difficult. So let's get started on what it is like to be an empath and what you can do to live a life that is really feeling joyous, loving, peaceful, and comfortable. You got to realize an empath is a sensitive being. So you may also hear both terms intertwined, empath or sensitive being. You can feel the emotions of others, read the energy in the room, you believe you're the cause, and you've had the ability from birth. This is not something that just popped up. So it may make you have been very isolated as a child. You may also be the only empath in your family, so there's not anyone else that you can relate to. And it is not unusual that the empath doesn't share what they're experiencing. Because if you were to say to somebody, gosh, every time I walk into the room, it feels like there's a tremendous amount of disappointment. Generally, if you are sharing with a person who's not yet awake or hasn't quite ascended to that place of awareness, they may begin making fun of you or shame you in some way or say something that will make it even more difficult. So the empath is usually careful not to share what's going on. So that's another layer of pain that they are burying. And it's also not unusual for the untrained empath to feel overwhelmed and to have suicidal thoughts. Remember that the empathic being is feeling all of the energy of the other people and not realizing where it's coming from. So it can be quickly overwhelming to deal in that kind of sea or stew of negativity. And you have to remember as well that the empath believes, they truly believe from their heart that the other person is suffering because of them. They are not able to be objective and say, gosh, I see that Joe is suffering because Joe is going through a lot of tough experiences. Generally, the untrained empath will say, I must have caused Joe to go through these experiences. This is so difficult. It must be my fault. That's where the suicide starts coming in. The empath keeps referring to themselves as damaged or broken. So you might have them say something like, well, if I were a better person, Joe would not be suffering. And here's another fun fact to remember. I know it's feeling a little overwhelming, and we're going to get to calls, and we are going to help today. With the help of the angels, we are going to really dig down in what it is like to be an empath and how you can use it to your advantage and still be a loving presence in the world. Empaths are often targeted by narcissists because they are so able to generate these feelings of love and compassion. Now, one last thing. Untrained empaths will always take the blame to keep the peace. They are not going to be good at confrontation or expressing what they are feeling. So if you are doing any of these things and you don't understand why life seems to just be going downhill for you, I'd like to talk with you today. I want to help you understand how you can use your gift for benefiting yourself and others. It is a beautiful gift. It is absolutely something that can be beneficial, but I understand from personal experience how incredibly overwhelming it can be to not understand what's going on. So that number to call is 347-202-0232. If you're calling from outside the U.S., you need to add 1. So we're going to our first caller for today, calling from 951, and you do not have to use your given name, just give me something that I can call you. Hi
Hi,
there.
this is hello.
It's Nathaniel.
Yes, it is. Hi.
Hi, how are you? You're in your new home now, your new living accommodation. How's it
Yes,
going?
thanks. Yeah, it feels a lot more peaceful here. It's really quiet, and so it's my brother's house, and he's out of the country, or actually out of the state, and I'm here, so it feels a lot more peaceful and quiet.
Now, Nathaniel, we know that you are the empath in the family. So, are you able to share any of the experiences that you may have had before you realized, gosh, I kind of feel like odd man out here and don't feel that great about myself? What was your life like before you really started digging down into why do I feel this way and what can I do about it?
Well, I guess you really have to be just happy to be alive, and if you look at people with troubles, and look at other people that have it better, there's people that have it a lot worse, and
Well, that's
it's only going to get better and better. I see some, I look at myself and I look at other people, some other people that and I said, boy, it's sure good to be me, so.
gratitude is an important component in absolutely everything. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And is there anything specific that you would like the angels to help you with concerning the fear of disappointing others, which the empath lives with? It's not so much you're worried that you're not going to be a great success. It is that somehow you're going to disappoint the other people who are believing in you or who are supporting you or loving you in any way. Is anything like that going on in your life right now?
Yeah, it seems like the people I move out, I said, well, maybe I'll, keep you on the list, if I have to look for another place, and they asked me a few questions, and they didn't really understand that, I really wasn't happy with a lot of things there, it was too expensive, and, they didn't have a bath like I wanted, they didn't have the carpet in the rooms, it was a beautiful paint job, but it was kind of dark and dreary and stuff. So, I don't think they had really, a good TV, with HBO and stuff. They had a couple of big TVs, and it's a big house, but I really don't. I don't know. It doesn't seem like I'm much happier here.
It does seem or it doesn't? I didn't quite understand you.
I'm much happier here, so I kind of wanted them, I didn't complain so much and tell them, that I really wasn't happy what was going on and stuff when I moved out. So I didn't want to disappoint people. So that was like the people I was living with. So, renting a room from. So I didn't want to disappoint them. I, did a lot of favors and cleaned up areas and stuff, and he actually ended up paying me almost a couple $100, I think, for cleaning up around here and there and stuff. But I just didn't really tell him so much about how how I thought maybe $1,000 was too much, or I don't know.
And this is a really good point. So let's take this along with the information that I have received from my guides and help make it easier and have at the same time also educate the listeners as to what is really going on when you are an empath dealing with a situation like this. So we have Nathaniel, and he's living in a situation, and he can feel that the people are really believing that they're doing a nice service, that they are sharing something wonderful. And it's absolutely crippling for him to think that if he were to criticize them or to point out things that just didn't feel good, he could feel that these folks would be disappointed. They would be discouraged, and he would be the cause of that disappointment and discouragement. So instead, he chose to say nothing. Now, let's take a look at that from all the different perspectives. It is very common for the empath to not be able to speak up and say, this certain thing really could use an improvement, or this thing is not very comfortable. And we think that we are sparing the feelings of whomever it is that we're going to talk to. We don't want to feel their disappointment, so we just won't say anything. And it's okay, because after all, it's only me. I'm the only one. And, I'm okay. We need to step out of that attitude of I'm okay with less. Just because you can feel the energy of another person doesn't mean that you've got to do something to fix it, number one. Or number two, that you need to prevent them from understanding how they could be better. So let's turn the tables a little bit, and let's assume, Nathaniel, that it was your house, that you were renting the rooms, and you had someone like yourself who was renting a room from you. If you're being really honest, would you rather have the person say, this is a lovely space, but I would feel more comfortable if you did X, Y, and Z? Do you feel that that would hurt you irreparably, or that would help you improve?
Let's see. I did rent rooms, and people, really took advantage, I think, of me. One guy loaded a mess of stuff in the garage. It was crazy, and they had a lot of friends over and stuff. And I thought it was pretty bad. I really couldn't tell them. I really had a hard time telling them, saying, "Hey, you're too much of a problem."
Right. So here's what we need to remember is that when you discount yourself and say, oh, it's only me, it's okay because it's only me, you are saying somehow that you're not as worthy, you're not as important, and you're not as valuable as the other people. Now, empaths always love to have that conversation. Well, it's only me. It's okay. It's only me. I can figure it out, or I'll get by, or whatever conversation you have. And you start stuffing that sadness that you're really feeling, that sense of isolation, that sense that you're not quite worthy or valuable, down into a dark hole that you are really not wanting to examine. But here's the problem with that. First of all, you're denying the world your light. That gift that you brought to share, which is only yours to share, isn't going to be seen as long as you're filling your energetic space with, I'm not that valuable, I'm not that worthy, and I'm not that important. You can't shine brightly from that place. That's a negative, low vibrational space, and it's just not going to happen, no matter how wonderful your intentions. So you're depriving the world of your light. You're also depriving yourself of your love, joy, and peace, because you cannot stay or even visit the high place of love, joy, and peace where the energy the energies of the energetic realm can interact with you from that place of I'm worthless and unimportant. So what you are going to attract are more situations where people take advantage of you. So you've got to remember that yes, you are an empath. You can feel the energy of other people, but you are still valuable and worthy. So I want you to begin a daily practice of shielding and start doing some clean out. It's time to clean out the trunk. You got junk in the trunk there that you're holding on to. You got to dump that trauma and open yourself up to the energy of unconditional love. And now we've got another caller, so I'm going to have to put you back on hold, Nathaniel, and we have a caller from 785. And again, you do not have to share your given name, but I do need a name that you would like me to call you. So, caller from 785, hello.
Hello, this is Joan. And
Hi,
I have a question
Joan.
for you, Marcia. Hi. I have a question for you. Does being an empath make one more prone to being victimized?
100%. And this is
Wow.
so important. While you are an untrained empath, and even while you are trying to do the work of the clearing and the cleaning, understand that you're going to be wearing a sign that says, hello, everyone, you can take advantage of me, and I won't do anything about it. It's really, really, really important that if you recognize that you are a sensitive being, if you can pick up feelings from animals, from plants, from other beings in the room, it is not something to disregard or poo-poo. This is an incredible gift that you've been given. But if you are not paying attention to what's going on around you, you're going to find yourself most definitely being the victim over and over and over again. Now let's take a look at what that means, because we got to be really careful. I don't want anyone to get it in their brain that, oh, well, you know what, I'm an empath, so that just equals victim, and there's nothing I can do. Oh, no. You may be empathic. You may be sensitive. You may be able to pick up the feelings of the other beings around you. But you are also brilliant. You are also worthy, valuable, powerful, and you also have the choice whether or not you're willing to connect with the divine and empower yourself and shield yourself so that no matter what somebody else plans on doing, you're going to be just fine. Now, you can't shut the barn door after the horse is out and then say, oh gosh, it's not working, so I'm just going to quit. If you are already in a relationship where, and this can be business, personal, love, it doesn't matter what relationship you're in, but if you're in a relationship and you've already sort of set the stage for how this is going to go forward, do not expect that the other person who has been able to get anything they want out of you to start saying, oh, hooray, you finally realized you have value and you're setting boundaries. I'm so delighted. They are going to tell you things like, you're the worst person I've ever met. You're so cruel. How could you? You have caused me so much pain and disappointment. Let's look at it for what it is. They used to be able to get you to do anything for them. They used to be able to manipulate you into doing whatever they thought would feel good. And now you've kind of woken up and you're saying, you know, I don't think I want to be taken advantage of anymore. I really feel like I want to be in relationships that are give and take relationships. And I want to feel honored and respected in the way people deal with me and treat me. So
So, Marcia,
don't get up.
can I ask a question? Are
Absolutely.
empaths more likely to not feel worthy or not feel valuable, which kind of rolls into, the easy forgiveness, the compassion? Oh, they were having a bad day, so they were mistreating me. Is it kind of go along with being that deeply feeling person to also in some ways take responsibility for all the things we shouldn't be that just diminishes our self-worth?
You could not have said it better. That's 100% the I guess the rule book of being an empath is you will always want to excuse away somebody else's bad behavior. And that is a lovely trait, and it makes you a wonderful, incredible friend, partner, whatever. But if you don't have good, strong boundaries in place, if you don't know who you are, valuable, worthy, and absolutely in love with the being that is you, you are going to excuse people's bad behavior until they have traumatized you, abused you, and taken advantage of you to the point of making you believe that you're absolutely invaluable. And if it's not checked, it can go to the place where you feel like you are so worthless that you have caused so much pain or hurt or whatever that you think, well, okay, I need to take myself off the planet. I'm going to contemplate suicide. I am such a terrible person, and I have caused so much hurt and harm that the only option left for me is to remove myself. This is not true. This is misunderstanding who you really are and the responsibilities that you should own and those which other people should own. So let's be really clear. Everybody is responsible for their own life choices. If they make a bad choice and they receive a consequence, it's not your fault. Even though you can feel their pain, it's not your fault. If you make a bad choice and you receive the consequence of that choice, it's not their fault. They are not to blame because you made a bad choice. Where it gets screwed up with the empath is they are always in rescue mode. Oh, Susie, Mary, and Joe have made a really bad choice, and they're really hurting, and I can feel that they're hurting, and it's so unfair that they should be hurting. Stop right there. Is it unfair? Or did they make a bad choice that this consequence will help them grow from? Think about your own life and what you've experienced and the growth that you have experienced, and just ask yourself, did it come from those times when life was really solid and secure? Or did it come from those times when I needed to really be pushed out of my comfort zone?
So why do empaths take on so much blame?
Well, if you feel when you, okay, so let's just say, what were those people? Susie, Mary, and Joe. I forget who we had. Anyway, Susie, Mary, and Joe are in a room. And here you come. Here comes Joan walking into the room. Now, if you are a trained empath, you may send your energy out ahead of you to kind of get a feel for what the room is going to be like. What's going on there? But if you're untrained, uneducated in what being an empath is, you'll just walk in blind, no shielding, wide open, and you'll come slamming into a wall of energy because Susie, Mary, and Joe have been arguing about this decision that they made that's caused them so much pain. They're all blaming each other. But you walk into the room, you feel this incredible wall of anger, and you immediately assume, oh, the only thing that's changed since I walked into the room is me. I walked into the room, and suddenly everyone's angry. I wonder if I've done something to disappoint them. Now, because they know you, or because they can sense that you're very vulnerable, or they've watched you in the past and you're quick to take the blame, if somebody is immature and doesn't want to assume responsibility for their own life, they're always looking for someone else to blame. So they may turn to you and say, Joan, it's all your fault. We had this incredible idea, and because you weren't enthusiastic about it, it fell apart. You completely destroyed our ability to succeed. Now, you're feeling all this anger as the empath, and you are completely unprepared that they would flip the tables on you because you don't understand how empathy works, and because you wouldn't do that to someone else, you're completely unprepared to have shielding is up. You're just in the room, and you start thinking, oh, did I? I didn't realize I was doing that. What a terrible thing. Oh my gosh, I've hurt them so badly. They are planning on this. They're not sitting around talking, let's get Joan, but when people are interacting with an empathetic person, it becomes habit. If they are very immature and don't want to blame somebody and don't want to take responsibility for their own actions, it becomes habit to look around for someone to blame. And so they kind of have their targets picked out ahead of time. It's kind of like, okay, well, I don't want to grow. I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to, step into my power. You know what? I've noticed Joan always takes the blame. Oh, look, here she comes. It's not that conscious. It's kind of a subconscious knee-jerk, oh, look at this. I got somebody to blame. And the empath who's not trained plays along and says, oh my gosh, I am so sorry that I did that. I don't even understand how I could have been responsible. Now, you don't understand how you could have been responsible because you had nothing to do with it. You weren't even in the room or part of the plan. You just happened to walk in when they were having a discussion about it and couldn't find somebody that was willing to take the blame. But because you're unmoored, you haven't understood that you're picking up things that don't belong to you, and you're just kind of floating in this space of, I'm always overwhelmed by all of this information. You are so easy to target. So what I would want you to do, obviously, is shielding. But when somebody comes at you, when you walk into a room or when you start entering into a discussion with somebody, shields up first and send out your energetic feelers. How is this person feeling right now? What's coming off of them before anything has come out of their mouth? If they're starting off from a place of anger, I want you to double your shields and call on Archangel Michael, because Archangel Michael is that energy of divine truth. And when they start blabbing and blabbing and blabbing about how everything is your fault, just get very still and go to Archangel Michael and ask, please show me if this is true. Have I been responsible for this person's pain? Please show me in a way that I can absolutely understand. Don't go with maybe, kind of, should have response, because You're always going to go toward it's my fault. So ask Archangel Michael to be abundantly clear, to make it absolutely impossible for you to confuse the signal. And if you see that Archangel Michael is showing you that this does not belong to you, then you got to back up. Just double shields and say, gosh, I'm sorry you're feeling that way, Joe, Mary, and Sue. And I'm sure that you'll figure out a way to work it out. However, I can't help you with this, or something along those lines. But absolutely refuse to rise to the bait of it's your fault. If Archangel Michael
Marcia,
shows you,
yeah,
if he shows you that you've done something wrong, then you apologize. I am terribly sorry. How can I make this right? It was not my intention to hurt your feelings or to cause you this problem. Empaths have no problem apologizing or taking the blame. The problem is not recognizing when you should not be the one taking the blame.
Well, and Marcia, that's one of the things I've really struggled with because, and I'm really listening to this shields up piece, because what I recognize about myself, and it's hurt me a lot, by my own, not being able to shield and pay more attention to the energy in the room, because I walk in with this completely open heart. I walk in with the best of intentions, with goodwill, and expect everyone else to be likewise, and that's when I seem to have gotten hurt. So does it make sense that I'm trying to learn how to be a little bit more reserved, not quite so open until, people say these little trite things like trust until they misprove your trust. Well, by the time people have misproved my trust, I'm emotionally trashed sometimes.
Right.
So
they've
do we
already
want to
gotten
come
out
in a more cautious way because our empaths more, like I said, open when they maybe should be more cautious?
Absolutely. And again, brilliant, because when people tell you, oh, you can trust, no. The empath, they've already bulldozed you, then they've gotten out the backhoe and dug a big hole, then they've thrown you in the hole and put dirt over it before the empath is like, oh, maybe I shouldn't trust that person.
It's like the liar that says, oh, but I'm not a liar. And
right.
I hate to say this, but I've had too many people who are liars. I mean, I don't need to say that. I don't think I've ever said that, but the people who have lied to me will say, well, I'm not a liar. How dare you call me a liar? And you're like, oh, my gosh. I just caught you in how many lies.
Right.
So
I need to grow another arm to count the ways in which you've lied to me, but I'm supposed to believe that you're not a liar. Yes. If you
Same thing with trust.
Yes. If you're an empathic person, even with your shields up, you will be more trusting than the person who is not an empath. So your shielding is just going to get you safety in the room. It's not going to get you. Think of it as sharks and guppies. They don't realize they're sharks, and you don't realize you're a guppy. But if you don't put some padding on you, you're not even a mouthful for them, and they have been able to bury you before you've even been able to catch your breath. It is completely, I still run into it. It's completely out of my normal orbit to think that somebody will make a promise that they can't keep. I've got to remind myself to do due diligence and to really not just go in there wide open. People really will promise things that they're clueless about. It's shocking to me, but it's really real life. So go in with as many shields as you can get that shield. Be titanium, and maybe you will allow the person to prove their worth before you go rushing in and offer them your heart, soul, and everything else.
So, Marcia, what are some of the signs of a good relationship for an empath to be in? We hear the things we need to avoid a lot of times, but what are some of the good things we can be looking for in a partner, a friendship, a relationship with someone that we'd like to maybe go a little deeper and get a little closer to?
Oh, what a great question. But you have to stop ignoring the red flags. An empath loves to make excuses. Oh, they didn't mean it. A good relationship will make you feel safe. You check in with your gut. You'll be feeling, check in with your heart. You won't be making excuses for the person. You'll be just feeling like, oh, wow, I'm so safe. I feel so loved. And you won't be stretching to get there. When you're in a relationship that isn't that great, it may start out, a lot of times you'll hear the phrase called love bombing. And if it's too good to be true, it will be obvious. But we as empathic people love to ignore those signs. Oh, look, they love me so much that they don't stop calling or texting or sending flowers or going way over and above. But you feel weird. Your stomach is like, oh, I don't know. I'd love to believe this is real, but it's too good to be true. Please take a step back. Just take a moment. Tell this person, I really need some time just to get myself together. I've really enjoyed our time together. And then spend some time in meditation with the energetic realm and ask them to show you, is this a safe relationship, or am I heading down another dark tunnel that has just been cleverly disguised with what sort of feels good? And honestly, if you've got to go there, then you've been ignoring these sort of feels good signs, and you know that it's not really sincere. But the ego has enjoyed the attention, and that's okay. But don't be afraid to stop and say, let me just think about this. You don't have to reply right away. They'll be pushing you for an answer. You don't have to reply right away. A good relationship will respond with, take all of the time that you need. I respect you. I honor you. You will feel respected. You will feel honored. They will go out of their way to make you feel uplifted. It won't be little digs. Oh, you look beautiful. Well, better than yesterday. That's not a compliment. That was designed to keep you off center. If you start feeling like, I don't know. If you feel that kind of weird sensation, it's not a healthy relationship. Healthy will feel good 99% of the time. Now, people can have off days, but even when they're having an off day, they'll say, hey, I'm really sorry. I was short-tempered with you earlier, or that wasn't very nice. Please forgive me. It won't be, Joan, it's all your fault. I wouldn't have said that if you didn't look at me that way. That's not a healthy relationship.
Well, they seem to play mind games that I would say make you feel confused. If you have that gut feeling of, I feel confused. What's really going on here? Like I'm kind of getting mixed messages, but then sure enough, they show up with some more love bombing, and you just sort of discount that feeling of confusion or uncertainty.
Yes, but if you're getting mixed messages, you've got to run, put some distance between you and the person.
Okay.
Run to the angels and ask them, please help me see the truth. Again, Archangel Michael, or just call on the relationship angels, but say, angels, I need your help. I'm not completely comfortable, but I'm very confused. So please help me through this.
How can we know the angels are answering that? For you, it seems very easy to hear those answers. But for someone who's new to it or hasn't practiced listening or looking for signs, what are we looking for?
Well, first of all, be on the alert. If you're just going to ask them and then you close your eyes, you're not going to see anything. Or you put blinders on, you're not going to see anything. But they will send you little messages. It can be a song on the radio, a billboard, a license plate, change on the ground, feathers. They will let you know they love you and that they are communicating with you. And you can say to them, angels, I'm really having a hard time interpreting the message. Please send it to me again. Send it to me in a different form. Send it to me in a way that I understand. They will never become impatient with you. They are never going to say, oh, that Joan is so stupid. Why can't she? That's ego. Angels will say, Joan, we will send you different forms of communication until the end of time, because all we care about is that you are able to understand and hear us or communicate with us so that you can heal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've got
You've
bunch
answered
of callers.
so many good questions. Thank you so much.
Oh, good. Thank you, Joan. And now, from 305, hi there. How can the angels help you today, and what may I call you?
Well, I am Diana, and the reason I called in is because the broadcast kept getting interrupted, and so I decided I'll call in.
Well, I'm so glad you did.
I have called in the past. I've spoken to Lisa and Anaya, but that was a long time ago. I know I'm an empath. I listened to the 2 last conversations, and everything you've said is helpful. You go into a room, and unless you gauge what is going on there before participating, you could be entangled and be blamed, just like you said.
Absolutely. And here's the thing we need to reinforce, and you need to hear it again and again and again and again, because it's not going to register. So, yes, I'm repeating myself, but I will keep repeating myself. This is what you need to understand. You, shielded, are still less capable of hurting someone else than the other person who is not shielded and is just being themselves. So a shielded empath is still less capable of doing any kind of damage, and is still exceedingly vulnerable. You've got to be on your toes. You can't just walk into a room wide open and expect that you are going to be respected by the other people in the room. You've got this ability for a reason. You have to use it. Send the feelers out first. What am I walking into? What should I be prepared for? And do the work in advance to recognize how valuable you are. Now, when I say that you are valuable, I am not discounting anyone else. Everyone else is also valuable. Everyone is valuable. Everyone has the same value. Nobody is better than anybody else. But the empath likes to devalue themselves. So you've got to spend time in prayer and meditation, letting go of those belief systems and those thoughts that are letting you entertain the idea that somehow you are not worthy. Because if you go into that room believing that you're less than the other people in the room, that blame is going to roll downhill, and you're going to be the lowest man on the totem pole and it's just going to knock you right over because you're saying, give it to me. I'm not worthy. I'm the least important one here. I should be the one that takes the blame, that is responsible for everyone else's mistake. So when I'm telling you to shield, I am not doing it because I want you to go in there. I'm more important, so I had to shield. It is survival. Shields
How
up.
do you shield yourself?
One of the most beautiful ways to shield, I'll have to do it really quickly, but here's a wonderful thing. My Patreon community, the Healing Hearts community, is free for January, and within that community, I have packed it full of practical tips for leading a spiritual life in a physical body. It is free for January, and within there is a technique called Going to Rainbow Island or Shielding with Rainbow Island. And this is something the angels gave to me for a woman who was agoraphobic and could not leave her house. She has started using this technique. She is now able to hold a job outside of her house.
Could you repeat how to access it?
Yes, it's my website, Heart Healer, or Marcia Martin, thehearthealer.com. It's Marcia, spelled Marcia.
Yeah. Right,
Or,
I read that.
Okay,
but
Heart Healer.
Is it
click on
Healer,
MM.com? Yep, mmhearthealer.com. Click on Community. And it's free until the end of January. Now, when you go to Rainbow Island, you are shielding from the inside out. So I used to tell people, and this is still a beneficial technique, but I don't think it's as powerful. But I'll share them both quickly, and we have another caller. Pretend that you're Glinda the Good Witch arriving at the Wizard of Oz. So before you leave your bed in the morning, step into your bubble of protection. And you need to keep reforming that bubble throughout your day. In the beginning, I would even set an alarm on my phone to keep reshielding and reshielding and reshielding because it's so difficult for an empath to get it through their head that, hey, other people really are not looking out for me like I'm looking out for them. So,
Marcia,
shield. Yes.
Marcia, in a way, I interpret empaths as kind.
Yes.
Is that not it?
No, that's not fair, because that would be like saying other people who do not have the gift of empathy are not kind, and that's not true. Everyone has the ability to be kind. Not everyone has the ability to read the energy in the room or pick up on the energy of other people. So empath, the reason that you have this gift is so that you can send forth the energy of unconditional love to all of the people that may be hurting. But it is not so that you can absorb their negativity, hatred, or hurt. It's merely you read it and you send out, okay, I realize you're hurting. Here's unconditional love. You've got to make sure that you're grounded and in alignment with the divine, so that you're not pulling from your personal heart space, but you're pulling from the divine. And you are sending out beautiful blankets of pink and gold light, which is just love, unconditional, no judgment, just love. I don't care why you're hurting. I just feel that you are, and I'm going to love you through it. That's all you need to do.
I know you have another call, but I just wonder why, even though I'm an empath, I am so judgmental Oh, I try not to be, but I am.
Well, you need to raise your vibration. You became judgmental because you were letting everybody's energy bombard you. And you kept feeling like you were less and less worthwhile. And so the ego fought back and said, oh, really? You think I'm not worthy? Well, look at you. Let go of the ego. Let go of everybody else's fear and blame and shame. Just wash all that out with unconditional love. Change your vibration, raise it into that high place, and you will be able to look at others and recognize you're doing this because you're coming from a dark place. So I'm going to send you unconditional love. However, you are prevented from hurting me. Just because I can recognize that you are hurting does not give you the opportunity to hurt me. I will love you as you are, but I'm not opening the door for you to throw up all over me.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Hi, Marcia.
And now, calling from 478, how can the angels help you today?
Hello?
Hi there.
Hi. Oh, I didn't mean to press number one, but I guess I had this issue as well. Yeah, I had that issue, taking on a lot of people issues.
Yes. Now, here's something that I want all of the empaths to understand. No one is doing anything to you that you are not allowing. So we love to take blame. Let's take some serious blame for this. We are allowing them to invade our energetic field. Not only are we allowing them, we are encouraging them. We are telling them, oh, that's so terrible, Sue, Mary, and Joe. You don't need to feel that way. Let me just take all that burden from you because that's terrible. That's not the job of an empath. You are not to take their blame, even when they try to give it to you. You simply say, I understand that you're going through that. And you give them a blanket of pink and gold light, which is you're going to love them where they are, but you are going to prevent them from entering your energetic space. You recognize they're going through a tough time. However, you did not sign up for living their life. You can only live your life. So it is really, really important. Hey, I recognize you're going through a hard time. I'm so sorry that that's happening to you. Is very different from, oh my gosh, that's so terrible. Let me just take all that from you. Oh, you shouldn't have to be going through that. Let me just help you. And meanwhile, you are an open door and you are just pulling in their energy. And then you wonder a few minutes later, oh my gosh, I feel so drained. I'm so confused. I feel so worthless.
Right.
Well, they don't even know that that has happened in most cases. There are some predators who know what they're doing, but they're not the norm. In most cases, people don't have any idea what's really going on. And so you, as the empath who can read the energy, need to be the one that says, here is a way to help you heal. If you would like to accept it, please do. If you don't want to accept it, I understand, but I'm not going to take the blame for you.
Okay.
So you give them a blanket of pink and gold light. They say, ick, what is this horrible thing? Give it to them again. Give it to them a third time. If they have not accepted it by the third time, you are under no obligation to stay connected to them They've chosen this misery that they are undergoing. If you can safely be a comfort, and you know that your energy is staying strong, you're connected with the divine, you're feeling really empowered, and you're not taking on any of the blame, then you are welcome to do so. But if you feel that you're becoming confused, overwhelmed, discouraged, disappointed, feeling like you're not enough, then that's a sign that you have just said, hey, you know what? I'm not worth much, but they're worth everything. And so it's my job to rescue them, to fix them, to do it for them. It's not your job. Nobody can live somebody else's life.
Right. Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for contributing today. This is such an important topic. It is so vitally important that the empathic person understands this is not just a quirky personality trait. This is the substance of your being. So please get in the habit of shielding. But if you really want to be effective, you're also going to have to clear out all of the garbage that you've accumulated over the years when you ran in there like the 911 Rescue Society for the world. If you are holding on to somebody else's failure, or you've spent your life trying to fix other people's problems for them, you can be holding on to energy that doesn't belong to you and that you have no use for. Time to do a really good house cleaning. Get in there with the Holy Spirit. Ask Jesus to be your guide and clean out all of the shadow parts, all of those places where you've stored up hurt or confusion or pain. And then start fresh from that place of unconditional love. But begin with you first. Share that love with you first. And be a wise empath. Go out shielded. Now, we've run out of time. I'm not going to get a chance to share with you going to Rainbow Island. But when you go to Rainbow Island, it is an opportunity to cleanse and to re-shield from the inside out. And if you'd like to find out what that's like, then go to my website, mmhearthealer.com, click on the community tab, and Patreon is free for the month of January. You can discover how to go to Rainbow Island, and you can go every single day or several times a day or every other minute if you need to. You can go to Rainbow Island through that Patreon community, and it will not cost you a thing. But when February comes, it's only going to cost you to be on the lowest tier where you get the least amount of interaction from me. It still only costs you $7.77. So there is nothing standing between you and the ability to learn how to operate in the most glorious way and still be you, this beautiful empath. Also, if you feel that you really need tools and just help clearing out all of this stuff that may have collected for you, there are two other ways that I can help you. The first is I have a class. It is Empathic Empowerment, and that's on my website under classes. Just go to Empathic Empowerment. It is already recorded. You'll be able to access immediately, and you'll learn different tips and techniques of how you can move throughout your day and really not suffer as an empath. Or I am offering mini sessions, so it's $1.11 a minute. You can speak with me, and the angels will be able to give you some personal help, just one-on-one in the privacy of a one-on-one situation. And if you feel you need to go even deeper, then I can help you with the assistance of the angels. Release the trauma as you learn to grow into all that you are. And that would be the one-on-one coaching that is more extensive. But there's a way to connect with the angels if you feel that you're unable to do it yourself or that you need help getting started. You are welcome to join me. Everything is on my website, mmhearthealer.com. Again, I want to thank all of you for sharing today. It is so important that as a community, we become educated and that we step into our strength instead of hiding away and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and fearful. So until next week, again, I thank you and I love you all so much. So I am sending you all a blanket of pink and gold light as I send you all my love.
You've been listening to another fabulous program on Angel Heart Radio. Our goal is to remind you of how much you matter in the world and to let you know that we appreciate who you are in the world. You can check out who's on, when we're on, and who our guests are at angelheartradio.com. Everything is there. It's all just one click away. Angel Heart Radio programs are powerful tools to help you in your life and your life experience. They are not intended, nor should they, be used to replace your medical or legal advice. The views expressed by hosts, co-hosts, callers, guests, and associates should not be construed as advice from Angel Heart Radio.